And what we want to do is we want to be that person or that entity that people have to turn to when they do have, issues and they need some support.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Glam Reaper podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Muldowney, aka the Glam Reaper. And on today's episode, we are talking to the lovely Kim from Funeral Peer Support. I was very blessed and honoured to have been on their webinar or Zoom class, I think it's called, I guess. Well, she'll fill us in more later, but I was very honoured to be on that. It was a really enlightening experience. Actually, it was really nice to share stories. But yes, without further ado, welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you. So good to be here finally with you. And
yes,
a little bit.
We have met in person quite a lot recently. We met at the New York State. We met at the National then Funeral Directors Convention. So we met in Vegas and we've met in Saratoga. And I was at Cana. Yeah. Yes. So we were down in DC too. Oh my gosh. We were everywhere. So yeah, Funeral Peer Support definitely gets my support. And I just think it's wonderful what you guys are doing. And so I want you to share a sort of what that mission is like with my listeners. So we've got obviously listeners from funeral directors and funeral homes. We also have sort of, I call them Joe Blogs on the street, somebody who, like myself, until 15 years ago when I came into this industry, people who just are curious or whatever it might be. So I'd love if you could explain what your mission is to them.
No problem. So, Funeral Professionals Peer Support, we are a worldwide group, which has been wonderful. Both here, started in Canada, moved down to the U.S. We also have a group in Kenya. Currently, they meet, I think, like once a quarter. But we have student group, and so we have a couple different meetings throughout the month in different areas. And what we want to do is we want to be that person or that entity that people have to turn to when they do have issues and they need some support, whether it be at work or even at home, or even, any combination thereof. In today's world, support is something that some people don't feel like they have or have somebody that they can turn to. And especially in this profession with, just all the stuff that we put on our own shoulders. A lot of times you can't go home and talk to your spouses about it and everything because they really don't get what we do. We're really the only ones that understand kind of the ins and outs of everything. And, if you don't have, the support that you may need in the workplace, we are there for people to turn to. And, we have a call line set up where people can call if they're having any kind of issues, whether it be, financial, emotional, in their lives in general. And this line is manned by a mental health professional, and it's 24/7. And you don't have to leave a message and call back. When you call the number, it is a mental health professional that is there to help you. The whole scenario, it's again funeral professionals, so anybody that's involved in the funeral profession. So whether that be a funeral director or an embalmer or an apprentice or office staff, crematory workers, cemetery workers, removal staff, crematory technicians, anybody that is within the industry is welcome to join us. We have our monthly meetings that are free of charge. There's no charge. And as Jennifer mentioned, she was on one of ours, and we have a different topic every month that we kind of go through and address, and whether it be, workplace issues that we may deal with on a day-to-day basis, or just some interaction between all of us, asking, what are your issues today? And we can be there. It's by peers and for peers. So the monthly meetings, we do not have the mental health professionals in that meeting, but we are happy to guide folks if they need that guidance, where to turn. But, that way you've got those people that are in the industry that know what you're doing, and you may not have a support person at work or a mentor at work to be able to turn to and ask for advice or guidance. And we are there to be able to help that person in that situation. So,
Yeah, it's great. It's incredible. And I came across your podcast, right? But
podcast as well,
yeah,
stronger together.
yeah. So I came across the podcast a while back, and I also I think I heard maybe it was Michael getting interviewed on the Undertaking podcast, maybe a long time ago. I think I was actually getting my nails done. That's usually when I listen to a podcast. But I remember being so moved by what he was saying, and I put it sort of, as I do with everything in my life, put it on my to-do list to must research these funeral peer people. And it took me a while, but I eventually did I did connect with you guys. And yeah, I just think it's so important what you're offering, what you're doing. And I mean, I was honored and kind of couldn't really understand why I was going to be a guest on it, but at the same time, what's interesting is I've been asked to speak about sort of mental health in the profession a lot recently. I'm actually flying home to Ireland October 4th to speak at our trade show at home in Ireland about mental health in the profession. And I'm very clear about this. Like I always say, I'm not an undertaker. I'm not a funeral director. I'm always clear with that. And now I feel like I have to be clear. I'm not a therapist. I am not a mental health, provider in any way, shape or form. But I think it's just, and it's probably part of, I guess, just my personality is that I think, it's about opening up the conversations, and even with what I do for a living, like the event planning and the celebrant stuff, even that, it's like whenever I'm on stage with that, it's not, are you licensed to do X, Y, and Z? It's about opening the conversation. And at New York State, I did a presentation. I was asked to do a presentation, and I did it, and it was amazing. And there was one guy in the audience who sort of said, well, I'm a funeral director and I have to answer to, the licensure and all that. Who are you to tell us how to do funerals? And I just thought, listen, negative Nelly, first of all, first of all, you were asleep through the entire presentation. So who do you even get to even, talk about this to me? Yeah. But I just thought, I said, that is just the antiquated attitude of, I understand, yes, you do have to be certified and you do have to be licensed and all that sort of stuff. And listen, if that came into what I'm doing, absolutely, no problem. I'll tick the boxes and do whatever I need to do. But that doesn't necessarily make you the perfect funeral director just because you're book smart and you've passed whatever. And I'm always very crystal clear that I'm not a funeral director. And so with this new sort of thing, to me, I kind of consider myself just a facilitator of conversations. Let's just have the conversation. What harm does it do? But I did read something interesting on Instagram, as you do. And it did kind of make me think, though. It was somebody who has had suicidal thoughts in the past, sadly, and they were kind of saying that, death meditation and all sort of these contemplating death and in different forms is something that she basically said, it is not helpful to be encouraging people to do that, because for me, that's detrimental to my health. Mm-hmm. And it made me think, because I thought, because that would be something that I would consider. I'm actually writing my 4th book at the moment, and it's actually about self-help, but it's more about sort of people on the streets. It's not necessarily aimed at the funeral profession at all. It's more that I, having worked in this business for 15 years, I do think that the more, if we contemplate the fact that this one life we have is finite, whether you believe you'll go to the afterlife and all that, it's neither here nor there, but that this is finite, and that it just makes you love and live more. I think it makes you love harder, and it makes you do things that you maybe wouldn't normally do. Because most people, after they leave the funeral of a loved one, they're a little bit more, oh my God, life is so precious. And that lasts for like moments, maybe week, maybe, a month if you're lucky. And then it's back to normal and we're in the grind again. So I'm definitely a fan of contemplation of death, not in a heavy, heavy way, but this was sort of a different take on it that I was fascinated with, because I thought, oh my God, is that something that we shouldn't be doing because it potentially is detrimental to other people's health? But then I thought, opening these conversations, I think is really the important part of it, because you're giving people space to say that, to come to the table and say, this isn't, that's not really helpful for me. But if it's not helpful for one person, does that mean it shouldn't be done at all? Like, for example, if you've got a diabetes 2 drug, okay, it doesn't work on half the population, but it works on the other half. Should it just never be created?
Mhm.
Because that's what mental health is. It's a disease, really.
Absolutely. And the whole idea of the peer support group was actually brought on by Michael Dixon, our founder, his own mental health struggles and past traumas. And I'm not speaking out of turn, because he's very, very open with his past struggles. And he was in that moment, contemplating suicide, and his saving moment was, he said, I'm going to call, my doctor, and, if someone answers, then fine. If somebody doesn't, then I'm going off and doing what I plan to do. And he said, and they never answer. He said, but I figured, I'd call and see, do it. Something was just telling me to do that. And he called and somebody answered the phone. And so that is what he wants for anybody else. And it doesn't have to be, that drastic of a situation, but, it could, lessen that, somebody getting to that point. And, having that number to be able to call and say, I need help, or can I just, just somebody to talk to, and everything. And again, we understand what we each go through on a day-to-day basis. And he didn't want anybody else to be in a situation where they needed somebody to talk and they had to leave a message, because you don't know what would happen when the person turns and hangs up the phone. So that was his motivation for the group. And that was in 2018 that he formed the group. I think is the official start. But so that was his motivation to begin the group. And I think it's definitely moving in the direction that he wants to be. He wants to be, worldwide leader, and we are making, good strides towards that.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. I never knew you were international. So, do you have anybody in Ireland? You might have.
But I think he has been contacted by some people. So in different, I think Ireland and I think the UK, he's been contacted by people in those countries. So
Yeah, probably
I'm
these days.
more than willing to go over and start the group in Ireland.
There you go. There you go. Well, we were trying to get Brian from Undertaking the Podcast to be sponsored to come over to talk with me on stage at the funeral Times trade show. But it didn't come to par, which actually leads me to a pretty important question, especially nowadays. Although I feel like it was always a topic of conversation. How is funeral peer support funded, or how does that, because it's a lot of time and a lot of dedication.
Absolutely. I'm currently, we are all volunteers, on the board, I guess the board, the leadership team. I'm classified as the U.S. director. So we're all volunteers. Nobody is getting paid for this organization. So any funds that we get are through donations. We do have sponsorships available for companies or individuals if they would like to sponsor us, because obviously, we have things like the helpline, they need to be funded. So through donations, we have had a couple of generous donations, which we're very thankful for. But, as everybody knows, the spigot can turn off, and, it does run dry at times. So any donations, whether it be from an individual, from a company, from a larger company, small funeral homes. We do have different levels available. They can sponsor our podcast, things like that. So we do have different levels for higher entities to become sponsorships for us. We also have what's called in the US, it's called the Member Assistance Program. And that is it's $15 a month or $150 for the year. And what that includes is that helpline. So that helpline is available to you 24/7. It also includes, we do webinars, professional webinars, which we sometimes have continuing ed credits available with them. So 3 of those available throughout the year for you to participate in. And with that membership, it's not only the person that takes the membership, it's their entire family.
Oh, cool.
So, and it can be purchased on an individual level or as an employer, if you would want to, provide a service like this to your employees, an employer can purchase them as well for all their employees and staff. So, and for that cost, those that have had therapy in the past, that, $150 for a whole year, one therapy session can be $150.
Absolutely. It doesn't go very far at all.
And those calls, if anybody does make the call to that helpline, they are there, and there's no time frame on how long those calls can last. They are there to be able to help you through the situation. And if they feel that you need continued help, they will assist you in getting you help in your local area. So, so there's a lot, again, it covers the family, it covers the individual. So for that cost, it's not a lot to be able to provide a service like that for your employees.
Yeah.
Or yourself.
And I mean, everyone that's volunteering, they're all full-time funeral directors, and they're their day job as well. So do you want to, is there a website, like a link that people can go to maybe donate, or if they've got more questions? We'll obviously leave all the links below, but yeah, if you can give us any information.
Absolutely. Our website is www.funerals, so FUNERALS, peersupport.com. That's our website, and there is information in there about sponsorship levels, and our emails are there to be able to contact us if you have any other questions, things like that, about sponsorships or the member assistance program. And in Canada, they have it's called an EAP, but it's basically the same services as the MAP in the States. So, yeah, so they can all go right there, and if they have any questions, they're welcome to, contact somebody that's on the website, or they can contact me directly, whichever, and I can point them in the right direction. So I'm more than happy to help with anybody that would be interested in that. So
that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much. Please, everyone, check it out. If you do have, some money to spare, or you just feel like it's a great cause, which it is, definitely check out the website. Or if you just want some more information, as you guys know, I've said it enough times, or I hope I have said it enough times, but sometimes it falls on deaf ears. I'm always here to chat and to listen if anybody is feeling whatever way.
same here.
So yeah, and I myself and the Grave Woman, we put out a big sort of poster that if you ever see us at a convention, we're recognizable usually. If you ever see us at a convention, never feel alone, always pop up and say hi. So I would definitely recommend everybody can pop into any funeral, the peer support booth, whenever you see it at a convention as well. But
our monthly meetings in the US are the third Tuesday of every month. The link is on the Cana website, and the link never changes. So you can go to the Cana website to get our link for the monthly meetings in the US. Again, they're the third Tuesday of the month, and they're at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Anybody's welcome to join, and from across the country or beyond. We do get people from Canada in that one as well. Canada does have their own monthly meeting as well. But I'm not positive on the date, but it's all on the website as well. So
yeah. So the third Tuesday of every month, which is easy enough to remember.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kim. And we're going to leave all the links below. And yeah, please don't be alone. And this is a very, very important service for the funeral profession, and so I'm really thankful for your service. So,
Thank you for your support.
oh, yeah, absolutely not a bother. All right. Well, thank you very much, Kim, and we'll wrap it up, and we'll leave all the links for you guys below. So, thanks a million.
Thank you. Talk to you later.